I stared at the polished mahogany desk where my father had sat for 30 years. Now my brother Michael lounged there like he owned the place, which technically he did since Dad's stroke 3 months ago. "You can't be serious," I said, my voice steady despite the anger bubbling inside me. "I've been running operations for 5 years. The employees trust me. The clients need stability," Michael cut in, straightening his tie with an air of smug superiority. "And let's be honest, Elizabeth. A woman running a construction company, it's not a good look. We're losing contracts. My name is Elizabeth Chen, and at 35, I was being pushed out of the company my grandfather built from nothing. Chen Construction had been my life since I could walk. While Michael was off partying through college, I was learning every aspect of the business, from blueprint analysis to project management. We're losing contracts because you keep underbidding projects without understanding the real costs," I shot back. "The Miller development alone is going to put us in the red by at least $500,000. Michael's face darkened. "I don't need business advice from my little sister. The board agrees with me. We need strong leadership right now. Male leadership." I glanced at the board photo on his wall. Michael and his 3 golf buddies who he'd appointed after Dad's stroke. None of them had any construction experience. They were just yes men who owed him favors. "What about Dad?" I asked quietly. "He always said I would." "Dad's not here," Michael snapped, standing up. "He's in a nursing home, and I'm in charge now. You have until the end of the week to clear out your office. And Elizabeth?" His lips curled into a cold smile. "Don't bother asking for severance. The board has decided your recent performance issues justify immediate termination." I felt my nails dig into my palms, but kept my expression neutral. "Is that all?" "That's all." He was already looking at his phone, dismissing me. "Close the door on your way out." I walked out of his office with my head held high, ignoring the pitying looks from the staff. Many of them had watched me grow up, had seen me learn the business from the ground up. They knew what was really happening here. My assistant, Jenny, was waiting at my desk, her eyes red. "Ms. Chen, I heard. I'm so sorry." "Don't be," I said, starting to pack my personal items. "This isn't over." "But what will you do?" I picked up the photo of my grandfather standing proudly in front of his first job site. Next to it was a picture of my father and me reviewing blueprints when I was 12. Both of them had believed in me, had seen past gender to recognize true passion for the work. "I'm going to build something better," I told her. "And when I'm done, they're going to wish they hadn't underestimated me." That evening, I sat in my apartment reviewing my finances. Unlike Michael, who'd always relied on the family money, I'd been saving and investing since my first summer job. Between my savings and some smart tech investments, I had a decent nest egg. Not enough to compete with Chen Construction directly, but enough to start something new. My phone buzzed. My best friend Kate, who ran a successful architectural firm. "Tell me you're not sitting at home brooding," she said when I answered. "I'm not brooding. I'm planning." "Good. Get dressed. We're getting drinks, and you're going to tell me everything." An hour later, we were tucked into a corner booth at our favorite bar, martinis in hand. Kate listened intently as I recounted the confrontation with Michael. "That misogynistic little weasel," she muttered when I finished. "Please tell me you're going to destroy him." "Eventually," I said, stirring my drink. "But first, I need to build something of my own." "Starting from scratch isn't going to be easy." Kate's eyes lit up. "Maybe you don't have to start completely from scratch. Remember that sustainable building project we discussed last year? The one Chen Construction passed on because Michael said it was too risky." I nodded. The project had been innovative, using new eco-friendly materials and solar integration to create energy-efficient commercial buildings. I fought hard for it, seeing the potential, but Michael had shut it down. "Well," Kate continued, "I got 5 clients asking for similar projects right now. The market's finally caught up to the idea. But I need a construction partner who understands the technology and can execute the vision." I sat up straighter, my mind racing. "You're saying?" "I'm saying I have millions in potential contracts sitting on my desk, just waiting for the right builder," she grinned. "What do you say we make some waves in the industry?" For the first time since Michael fired me, I felt a spark of real hope. "Tell me more." Over the next 2 hours, we sketched out a business plan on bar napkins. Kate's clients were all tech companies looking to build environmentally conscious offices. They had money to spend and weren't afraid of innovation. The profit margins on these projects are incredible, Kate explained, showing me some preliminary numbers on her phone. Traditional construction companies can't compete because they don't understand the technology. But you do. She was right. I'd spent the last 3 years researching sustainable building practices, preparing for exactly this kind of opportunity. Michael had called it a waste of time, but I'd seen where the industry was heading. I'll need to hire key people, I said, making notes. Project managers who understand green building. Engineers who can work with the new materials. Start with Tom and Sarah, Kate suggested, referring to two of Chen Construction's top project managers. Word is they're not happy with Michael's leadership. I raised an eyebrow. How do you know that? Please. The construction community in this city is tiny. Everyone's talking about how Michael's running Chen into the ground. Your dad built that company on relationships and trust. Michael's destroying both. The mention of my father sent a pang through my chest. I visited him yesterday at the nursing home, but his stroke had left him unable to speak. I knew he'd hate what Michael was doing to his legacy. I'll need office space, I continued, pushing the painful thoughts aside. And equipment. Use my office for now, Kate offered. I've got empty space on the 3rd floor. As for equipment, start with what you need for the first project. Lease it if you have to. I did some quick calculations in my head. With my savings and a small business loan, it was doable. Tight, but doable. What about permits and licenses? I asked. Those take time. Kate's smile turned slightly wicked. Actually, I know someone in the city planning office who owes me a favor. I bet we could fast-track some of that paperwork. By the time we left the bar, the rough outline of my new company was taking shape. I'd call it Innovative Construction Solutions, ICS for short. The focus would be exclusively on sustainable commercial projects, positioning us as specialists rather than trying to compete with traditional builders like Chen Construction. The next morning, I made 2 important calls. The first was to Tom Martinez, my former head project manager. I was wondering when you'd call, he said when I explained my plans. I'm in. Sarah, too. We've already talked about it. Just like that? I asked, surprised at how easy it was. Just like that. Michael's a disaster waiting to happen. Last week he approved materials for the Miller project that don't meet code requirements. When I tried to tell him, he said to make it work and hung up on me. My second call was to David Wong, my father's oldest friend and our family's attorney. I needed to know where I stood legally. Your non-compete agreement was with Chen Construction as a salaried employee, he said after reviewing the documents. Since Michael terminated you without cause, it's not enforceable. You're free to start your own company. What about poaching employees? As long as you don't actively recruit them or use any proprietary information, you're clear. If they approach you seeking employment, that's perfectly legal. I thanked him and was about to hang up when he added, Elizabeth, your father would be proud of you. He always said you were the one who truly understood the business. Tears pricked at my eyes, but I blinked them back. This wasn't time for emotion. This was time for action. Over the next 2 weeks, everything moved at lightning speed. Kate introduced me to her clients, who were impressed by my knowledge of sustainable building practices. Tom and Sarah officially joined ICS, bringing their expertise and industry relationships with them. Word spread quickly in the construction community, and soon other talented professionals were reaching out, eager to be part of something innovative. I secured a small business loan using my investment portfolio as collateral, leased the essential equipment we'd need for our first project, and set up temporary offices in Kate's building. Jenny, my former assistant, joined us too, bringing her organizational skills and intimate knowledge of the industry. The first hint that Michael had noticed what I was doing came in the form of a cease and desist letter, claiming I had stolen proprietary information from Chen Construction. I forwarded it to David, who responded within hours. This is baseless harassment. I'll handle it. The next day, Michael showed up unannounced at my new office. What do you think you're doing? He demanded, barging past Jenny's protests. I looked up from my computer, keeping my expression neutral. Running my business. Did you need something? Your business, he scoffed. You mean your pathetic attempt to compete with a real construction company? How long do you think you'll last? I guess we'll find out, I replied calmly. Now if you'll excuse me, I have a client meeting to prepare for. His face reddened. This isn't over, Elizabeth. You're going to regret this. No, Michael, I said, standing up. The only thing I regret is not doing this years ago. Jenny, please show my brother out. After he left, Jenny stuck her head back in. Are you okay? I smiled, feeling more confident than ever. I'm perfect. His visit just proved what I already knew. He's scared. And he should be. That afternoon, I signed contracts for our first two projects. A $5 million eco-friendly office building for a growing tech startup, and a $3 million renovation to convert an old warehouse into a sustainable community center. Both projects had originally been bid on by Chen Construction, but the clients had backed out after meeting Michael. Your brother didn't inspire confidence, the tech company's CEO told me bluntly. He seemed more interested in golf than in understanding our vision. You, on the other hand, clearly know what you're talking about. As I looked over the signed contracts, I thought about how differently things might have gone if Michael had just given me a chance. If he hadn't been so threatened by the idea of his sister succeeding where he was failing. But then again, if he hadn't pushed me out, I might never have found the courage to start something of my own. Sometimes the worst things that happen to us lead us to exactly where we need to be. I picked up my phone to call Kate and share the good news, but another call came in first. It was the nursing home. Ms. Chen, your father, he's asking for you. He's speaking again. I rushed to the nursing home, my heart pounding. When I entered my father's room, he was sitting up in bed, looking more alert than I'd seen him since the stroke. Elizabeth, he said, his voice weak but clear. My girl. Tears filled my eyes as I sat beside him, taking his hand. For 3 months, we communicated only through gestures and written notes. Hearing his voice again felt like a miracle. Dad, I whispered. I've missed you so much. Michael, he said, his face clouding with concern. He's making mistakes. You know? He nodded slowly. Nurses, they let me watch news. Business Channel. Chen Construction. Stock dropping. I shouldn't have been surprised. Even in his weakened state, my father was still keeping tabs on the company he'd built. I started my own company, Dad, I said softly. After Michael fired me. His grip on my hand tightened slightly. Tell me. For the next hour, I explained everything. The sustainable building projects, the team I'd assembled, the contracts we'd already secured. Despite his lingering weakness, my father listened intently, asking careful questions when he could. You saw future, he said finally. Green building. Innovation. Michael. Stuck in past. I learned from you, Dad. You always said we had to look ahead. Anticipate where the industry was going. A tear rolled down his cheek. Should have. Protected you. Made sure. Company went to right person. Don't, I said firmly. This isn't your fault. And maybe it's better this way. I needed to build something of my own. He managed a small smile. Strong. Like your mother. The mention of my mother, who'd passed away when I was 15, made my throat tight. She had been brilliant, fearless, never letting anyone tell her what she couldn't do. I tried to live up to her example. The doctors say you're getting stronger, I said, changing the subject. Soon you'll be able to come see our projects. Yes, he agreed. Want to see what you build. As I drove home that evening, my father's words echoed in my mind. He understood what I was trying to do, believed in my vision. His approval meant more than any contract or success. The next few months were a whirlwind of activity. ICS's first projects progressed smoothly, our innovative approaches drawing attention in the industry. Trade magazines wrote articles about our sustainable building methods, and more clients started reaching out. Meanwhile, Chen Construction was struggling. Michael's mismanagement was taking its toll, projects running over budget, unhappy clients, declining stock value. I heard through industry contacts that they were having trouble securing new contracts. One morning, Tom rushed into my office with news. The Miller development, complete disaster. The substandard materials Michael approved. They failed inspection. The whole project is shut down. I leaned back in my chair, processing this. The Miller development was Chen Construction's biggest project, a $50 million luxury apartment complex. A shutdown at this stage would be catastrophic. That's not all, Tom continued. 3 of their other major clients are talking about pulling their contracts. Word is they're on the verge of bankruptcy. I pulled up Chen Construction's stock price on my computer. It had dropped 70% in the past 6 months. What are you thinking? Tom asked, studying my expression. I'm thinking it's time to make a move, I replied, reaching for my phone to call Kate. She answered on the first ring. I assume you've heard about the Miller disaster. Yes, listen, remember that conversation we had about expanding ICS? The one where you said we needed more capital before we could take on bigger projects. What if we could acquire an established company instead? One with all the necessary equipment, licenses, and infrastructure already in place. There was a pause. You want to buy Chen Construction? They're going to need a buyer, I said. And who better than someone who knows the company inside and out? Elizabeth, Kate said carefully, that's brilliant and crazy at the same time, but can you afford it? Even with their stock price down, we're talking millions. I smiled, thinking about the conversation I'd had with my investment advisor last week. Actually, I can. Those tech investments I made 5 years ago, they just went public, combined with our company's current value and some creative financing. You're serious about this? Completely. Will you help me put together a proposal? Are you kidding? I wouldn't miss this for the world. Over the next week, Kate and I worked with financial advisors and attorneys to craft our offer. The numbers worked. Barely, but timing would be crucial. We needed to move before someone else saw the opportunity. I decided to approach the board directly, bypassing Michael. David helped arrange a meeting, using his old connections. The day of the presentation, I walked into Chen Construction's conference room feeling confident. Michael sat at one end of the table, looking disheveled and angry. The board members, his golf buddies, seemed less certain of themselves than usual. Gentlemen, I began, setting my proposal in front of each of them. I'm here to offer you a solution to your current situation. We don't need solutions from you, Michael snapped, but one of the board members shushed him. Go on, Ms. Chen, he said. We're listening. I outlined my proposal, a $2 million buyout, assumption of all debt, and a plan to merge Chen Construction's traditional business with ICS's innovative approaches. As I spoke, I could see the board members' expressions changing, moving from skepticism to interest. When I finished, there was a long silence. Then Michael started laughing. This is a joke, he said. $2 million. Where would you even get that kind of money? I pulled up my banking app and turned my tablet around to show them. The money's already in escrow, Michael, along with another $3 million in operating capital. Would you like to see the proof of funds? His face went pale as he stared at the numbers on the screen. This can't be real? I finished for him. I assure you it is. Unlike you, I've been planning for the future, making smart investments, building something sustainable. One of the board members cleared his throat. Ms. Chen, could you give us the room for a moment? I nodded and stepped outside. Through the glass walls, I could see Michael gesturing angrily while the board members spoke in hushed tones. After what felt like hours but was probably only 15 minutes, they called me back in. We need time to review the full proposal, the senior board member said. But speaking unofficially, this might be exactly what the company needs. Michael slammed his hand on the table. You can't be serious. She's trying to steal our family's company. No, Michael, I said quietly. I'm trying to save it. You're the one who nearly destroyed it. The board asked for 48 hours to review the proposal with their attorneys. I agreed, knowing they wouldn't find a better offer. Chen Construction's debts were too high, their reputation too damaged for most buyers to consider. As I left the building, Jenny was waiting by my car. Well, she asked anxiously. We'll know in 2 days. But I think it's going to happen. She hugged me impulsively. It's about time someone put things right. That evening, I visited my father again. His speech was stronger now, though he still tired easily. You're buying the company? He asked when I told him about the meeting. Trying to. Is that okay? He reached for my hand, squeezing it. More than okay. Proud of you. So proud. 2 days later, I received the call I'd been waiting for. The board had accepted my offer, with one condition. They wanted me to keep the Chen Construction name for the traditional building division. Your father built that name, the board chairman explained. It means something in this industry. We'd like to preserve that legacy. I agreed immediately. It felt right to honor my father's work while building something new alongside it. Michael, of course, didn't take it well. He stormed out of the final signing meeting, threatening lawsuits and revenge. But David had ensured everything was legally airtight. There was nothing Michael could do. 1 month later, I stood in my father's old office, my office now, looking out at the Seattle skyline. The merger was complete. Chen Construction and ICS were now one company, combining traditional excellence with innovative sustainability. The door opened and Jenny poked her head in. "Your father's here." I turned to see my father being wheeled in by his nurse. He was using a walker now, growing stronger every day. "How does it feel?" he asked, looking around the familiar space. I helped him settle into a comfortable chair, different than I expected, but good. He nodded, his eyes bright with pride. "You'll do better." Then I did. "See further." "I had a good teacher," I said softly. A knock at the door interrupted us. It was Kate, carrying a bottle of champagne. "Sorry to interrupt," she said, "but we just landed the airport contract. The sustainable redesign. They chose us over 3 other companies." My father grinned. "Biggest project yet." $50 million, I confirmed. And they specifically mentioned our green building expertise as the deciding factor. As Kate poured champagne and sparkling cider for my father, more people filtered into the office. Tom, Sarah, Jenny, other key team members who'd been part of this journey. "A toast," Kate announced, raising her glass. "To Elizabeth Chen, who took a setback and turned it into an empire." "To the future," my father added. "To family," I said, thinking not of Michael, but of these people who had believed in me, supported me, helped me build something bigger than myself. The family we choose. Later that night, alone in the office, I picked up the photo of my grandfather that had once sat on my desk at the old company. I placed it carefully next to my computer, then added the picture of my father and me reviewing blueprints. Finally, I added a new photo, one taken just last week at our first completed sustainable building project. In it, I stood surrounded by my team, all of us grinning with pride at what we'd accomplished. 3 generations of builders, 3 different visions, but all connected by the same core belief, that with enough determination, skill, and help from the right people, you could build anything. I touched each photo gently, honoring the past while looking toward the future. Then I turned to my computer and began reviewing plans for our next project. After all, I had an empire to build.